This meeting is
Hawaiian
being
FM
recorded.
100.3, 99.1, online at kauparadio.com. Another edition of our Kapa Kaya Ulu. It's our community outreach with our Hawaii County Police Department. Joining us today is Captain Thomas Shopay, and we're going to talk a little bit about something that's super important that we're finding in our community, and that is dealing with fentanyl. Good morning, Captain Shopay. How are you?
Very good. Aloha Kea. Thank you for having me here today on this very important topic.
Thank you so much for being here. Now, can you tell us, Captain Shopay, what is fentanyl?
So fentanyl is a synthetic opioid, meaning that it is something created in a lab, and it does have a medical purpose, mainly for pain management for individuals under cancer treatment or some other types of long-term pain management. That is, if it is used in a medical setting or being prescribed by an actual physician. Where we are seeing, or what we're seeing today on the streets, is not the medical grade or not something produced in a lab, in a certified pharmacy or laboratory, but something that's produced in a backyard lab or a clandestine laboratory. So the quality standards and concentration standards are very, very different than what we would see in a medical grade facility.
So why is it so dangerous though than other drugs?
So the vast majority of the time, other drugs, you're getting what you think you're getting. So if you're looking at marijuana, marijuana is marijuana, methamphetamine is methamphetamine. With fentanyl, it is usually mixed in with something else. And we go back to the concentration of it is where the challenge or the problem is. So an analogy that most people can kind of relate to is if you're making chocolate chip cookies, you have a batter and you pour in your bag of chocolate chips. So some cookies may have 3 chocolate chips, other cookies may have 15 chocolate chips. So when these fentanyl, primarily pills or powder form, is made, you don't know the concentration of that cookie you may be getting. So a user that may have a tolerance or an ability to handle a 2 chocolate chip cookie doesn't know they're grabbing a 15 chocolate chip cookie, and that's the problem for our people in our community, is we don't know what we're getting our hands onto.
Oh my goodness. So, you know, Hawaii Island, what are the police seeing on our island when it comes to fentanyl?
So Hawaii, we traditionally are a little bit slower than the mainland, or the trends take a little bit longer to get here. So we've seen that with the methamphetamine issue. We are starting to see that with fentanyl. So fentanyl is on the mainland. We are starting to see it develop here. We are having seizures of packages coming in that people are mailing or shipping here. We're seeing or disrupting organizations that are importing that to basically poison our community and put that on our streets. Our vice sections on both sides of the island have been working very, very diligently with community members, with their interdiction efforts, and trying to arrest and hold accountable the people that are poisoning our community.
Wow. Sometimes hard to swallow, Captain, hard to swallow. You know, when you say, when it comes to the Hawaii Police Department and this combating of this fentanyl on our island, I know that you folks probably work with other partner agencies as well. Tell us what that's all about.
Yes, so thank you for bringing that up, because I think as this issue is showing up here, as a community, we realize that we're not going to arrest our way out of this situation. Right. So there does have to be a community partnership and understanding within our community and a knowledge base to say that we don't want this here for the protection of everyone, and we have to work together to solve that. So the county has kind of collaborated with Hawaii Health and Harm Reduction Center, West Hawaii Community Health Center, and Bay Clinic to bring a lot of great minds to the table and say, how can we effectively, you know, get this message out to the community that this is something that unfortunately is here, be able to get our community to recognize what it is, the dangers of it, and then try and work collaboratively with our community partners to hopefully get rid of this situation before it really, really impacts and damages our community and families here on the Big Island.
this is super not in our interview thing, but I wanted to ask, we sometimes as a community member, we assume there's a certain demographic that's using it. There's a certain demographic, whether you want to call it the homeless population or you want to call it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if there are certain demographics, or is it just like widespread, everyone and everywhere?
It is. So I wouldn't say there's a specific demographic that is target for. There are chronic people that have used things. There are people that have addiction issues that are reaching out to try and seek this out. And then there are also individuals that are people are humans that are experimenting. The incredible danger with experimenting with fentanyl is going back again to that chocolate chip cookie analogy, is you don't know what you're getting. There's no ingredients label on the side of this pill that you're picking up. You don't know who made it. It's usually coming, it gets here, but it's coming from a foreign country that's produced in a lab by, you don't know who. So that's the incredible challenge and risk that our community faces by incidentally or accidentally picking up something, trying to try it, and maybe the group of 5 people that you have, everybody tries something from that same batch, but 4 of them are good and 1 person it's the wrong mix. So that's the danger, and it's out there. It's not a certain demographic, but it's something we just need to be aware of, because they are also made to mimic or look like legitimate medications. So that's the other challenge.
Whoa. Okay, so how can people like myself, all of our CAPA listeners, everybody who's watching this on Facebook, learn more about the dangers of fentanyl?
So with the that county task force, the collaboration with Bay Clinic, there are certain public meetings that are being held. There have been 2 that have been held already in West Hawaii and Pahala. There are 2 additional ones coming up, June 23rd, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. at Tutu's house in Waimea, and June 30th, 5 to 6 p.m. at the Pueo Community Center. For additional information on this, along with some other resources, you can go to bayclinic.org. They have on their website, if you go onto their the website for Bay Clinic, they have a section on there. It says CNTU campaign, which is Choose Not to Use campaign. Okay. And that'll have a bunch of the resources on there. The presentations that are also gone over during those community meetings. And I'll have information for community outreach to if you need to connect with for additional information on the topic.
Oh, that's awesome. Super awesome. Accessible. Okay, so last but not least, Captain Shopay, what are signs of an overdose? Like, so, I may not know, walking on the side of the road, grocery store, and how would I know what the signs of an overdose look like? Could you give us some hints?
So, and I'll interject a little bit too about our a terminology change that we're seeing or trying to use with fentanyl: overdose versus poisoning. So, an overdose would be, I know that 5 units of this is how much I need to get to the level I want to be. So I'll consciously make a decision to take 10 to get a little bit more of it. That would be an overdose, where I'm making a decision to take more than I normally would. With fentanyl, we look at it more of as a poisoning, because you don't know what it is. You're not making a conscious decision to take 5 more. You're just taking it and you don't know what's in there. So poisoning would be a better terminology for the way fentanyl reacts and the way that the issues that we're seeing in the community. So going along with that, for a fentanyl poisoning, what symptoms would be, because it's an opioid, it's going to slow down your breathing. It's going to slow down pain receptors. So you'll see usually someone very lethargic, possibly slumped over, seemingly very tired, pinpoint pupils, very seeming out of it, and they may have a hard time breathing. So the respiratory distress is really the main concern. When that happens, you're going to find it very hard to wake up that person, because those receptors from fentanyl have already affected the brain. That brings up the issue of Narcan or naloxone that we have available to try and temporarily reverse that. So with the community outreach, there are ways through the HHRC, that Hawaii Health and Harm Reduction Center, where community members can go on there. They have a short class you can do online and request to have Narcan sent to you, just in case this may be something that's in your house, or somebody who may be a potential user, and things like that. Along with that Narcan or the naloxone is actually not a bad thing to have in a house. If you have someone that may be already prescribed an opioid for a legitimate medical reason, just in case they're, or children or somebody grabs too many, that would be an overdose, where you have a pill every 6 hours and you take 3 for whatever reason. So there are good reasons to have that Narcan or that naloxone available, and there are methods to get that free as a community member.
Wow. Is there anything else in closing this topic today that you'd like to share that we may have not covered, Captain Shopay?
I think it's very important. I thank you again for this opportunity, just to get the awareness that it's out there. A lot of times, sadly, the way that individuals are trying to bring this into our community is they're trying to hide it or masquerade it in other items to get here. So we got to be aware of, picking up things that are on the ground, and just being cautious of stuff, even that we have things laying around our house, other opioids in general. So a general sense of caution and an awareness is really the key. Knowing that it's out there, being able to recognize it, and trying to, from a law enforcement perspective, again, we're not going to arrest our way out of this, but we would like to, as much as possible, disrupt that supply of poisoning to our island and hold people accountable. So we would ask that seek out information through Bay Clinic and the collaboration through the county. And then if you do have information on individuals that may be bringing these types of poisons into our community, to please call the police department. You can do it anonymously, which I'll give 2 numbers through our 3 numbers. Crime Stoppers, which would be 961-8300. You can leave an anonymous tip on there to help direct officers that way. Or if you have pertinent information to our either West Side or East Side Hawaii Island Vice offices. So the West Side tip line is 808-329-0423. And then for the East Side of the island is 808-934-8423. But again, if you see something immediately happening, obviously call 911 for immediate assistance. But the other ones are more of a kind of a tip line to keep yourself out of it, but provide information to keep our community safe.
Awesome. So for those of you that are listening on air, these numbers will be on our CAPA Facebook right below this video, so you have access, simple and easy. Captain Shopay, thank you again for joining us today and working together to keep our community safe.
Thank you very much for this great opportunity.